Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like Jim Edmonds, is directly responsible for Albert Pujols' success. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Vince Morca.
Hey!
And this week, returning to us for some reason, friend of the show, podcaster extraordinaire, you know him, Daniel Shoptaw. Thank you so much for being here.
Howdy, guys.
And this week, we are going to be talking about the continued success of the St. Louis Cardinals, the outfield, and some news and notes from around the league. If you have an idea for the opening joke, tweet us at TalkAboutBirds. Well, Daniel, we somehow roped you back into this. We are really grateful for your time and to have you here. Thanks again for joining us. It's been a really good stretch of Cardinal baseball. I feel like the last time you and I and Ben got together, it was that murky middle part of the season where everything was collapsing. So it's nice to have you here to actually talk about some positive Cardinal stuff.
Yeah, it's good to jinx them and bring them all down by putting us all together again. Yeah, good idea.
We don't matter.
That there is that too. It's been fun. I mean, it's been a great month of August. It's even when the few times that they've lost, the Brewers tend to wind up somehow losing to people like Cubs and Pirates, and so you get to go into September, depending on what tonight's game turns out to be, 5 or 6 games up. And you like where you're at, and not that everything's hunky-dory and perfect, but there's a lot of excitement around the team, and that's always fun at this time of year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like we picked on the Brewers a lot earlier this season for they were kind of doing a tightrope walk around their pitching and their pitching health, and that's a really hard thing to like. Having good pitching health all year is so hard to do. And they haven't done a great job at that. And then they traded away like their 4th or 5th best pitcher. I don't know.
Yeah,
we like to pick on them.
Not that has turned out to really matter. We were
actually a good move.
Yeah, as it turns out. But, you never know. Maybe he was so heartbroken to be traded. He collapsed in San Diego. But yeah, that trade so far hasn't worked out for either side.
Both losers, yeah.
Yeah, though again, I do think long run it's going to end up being a smart trade for the Brewers, but it definitely was timed right with their collapse. But yeah, I mean they were walking the tightrope of good pitching, just like the Cardinals have been all season. But the difference is the Cardinals have Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado, who if they could, split the MVP trophy in half and each get half of it, like I think they're the most deserving two since, I don't know, it'd be like when Trout and Cabrera were going back and forth.
Is this some fantasy you have about them both getting in a room together? There's cameras and they're ripping at a trophy and seeing who gets the bigger piece.
Yeah, it's like a wishbone. Okay. And they each grab one side of it and pull hard, and it's whoever gets the bigger side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view.
Yeah. No, okay. This should be free. This is for the people. What are you making me do right now?
I don't know, but I'm glad you're on board for that nonsense.
I thought of a better one last year, Ohtani and Guerrero. But anyway, it's. I mean, that's the big thing, right? Is that while the Cardinals pitching has obviously struggled, having 2 MVP offensive players and then a supporting cast of rotating contributors and rotating, having the worst months of their entire careers, has allowed them now, here we are, the evening of August 31st, with a pretty dominating lead for the division. Most prediction sites now have the Cardinals in the 90s or higher on winning the division, which is a good spot to be.
Well said. I agree. I like having a 90% chance plus of making it to the playoffs.
Let me tell you. Let me be the first to say.
It kind of beats not having it.
Yeah.
So.
Daniel, would you agree that being in first place is like way better than not being in first place?
I mean, I don't like necessarily to go out on the limbs that y'all go out on, but I mean, if you're already out there, I'll join the crowd. Sure.
All right. Yeah. Get out on this limb with us. Well, I think like a lot has been said about the strength of schedule, and it's fair. I mean, the Cardinals have the easiest schedule the rest of the season. I think that's part of where that equation is coming from. And we saw it a little bit, 5 games against the Cubs, which was a pretty good series. And then we actually had a pretty good test, though, over the weekend, having 3 against the Braves. And the Braves seem to be firing on all cylinders right now. And the Cardinals managed to take 2 of 3 from the Braves. So, again, small sample size, but it was definitely nice to see that outcome, because I think there was a lot of hand wringing going on after that first loss against the Braves, and then about halfway through the second game. If you're looking at Twitter or whatever, everybody's talking about how the Cardinals can't actually beat good teams, and then suddenly turn around and take 2 of 3 against the Braves. What did you guys see in the series against the Braves or the series against the Cubs over the last week that stood out to you?
Well, my point of view, and Daniel, I'm curious to hear what you think about this, but my point of view is this team, if you told me we had to do 5 games in 4 days versus the Cubs a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, I'd be terrified. And I feel like the team was well positioned. They had enough pitching. Nobody was clamoring for people to be called up or sent down or traded for. Obviously, they can't make trades for. And I think winning 3 for 2, or geez, winning 3 of those games and losing 2 of those games, I thought that was about as good an outcome as you could expect.
Yeah, I mean, especially for the fact that it's the Cubs, and all those games are always kind of crazy. I mean, you never know what's going to happen when you go into Wrigley Field. So yeah, if you could take 3 of 5, you're doing fine. And I agree, you're right. They had the pitching to deal with that, and it's kind of we're going to see that again in September when they have the doubleheader against the Reds. Later on when they're in Busch Stadium, and they're going to have to deal with that extra game as well. But yeah, between that and being able to play with the Braves, little bit of help from like Kenley Jansen and things of that nature, but they showed that they can go toe to toe with to start the month, sweeping the Yankees, and then to win 2 out of 3 from the Braves later on. I think that they've shown that they can play with pretty much anybody they're going to see in the postseason. It doesn't mean they're going to beat them. And, we'll find out a little bit more when they play San Diego and Los Angeles on the road there at the end of September. But I think right now, if you put them up against anybody in the postseason, especially in a short series, they're going to have a chance. They're not necessarily going to be favored, but they're going to have a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder what those late season series will be like too against the Dodgers, who've basically already clinched, best record in baseball, probably.
What will those May, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw someone say online the other day that like they've already beat the game and now they're just going for achievements. And they had the guy, I think it was last night, they had against the Mets, the person who they had closed the game was someone who the Mets had DFA'd in July. Yeah. And so now they're just like fucking with everybody,
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, I wonder if Doc actually wants to go for the record, or if I could see him not caring about that. What is it, 116 or 115?
I think it was 115. It was the Mariners in 01, right, or 02?
Yeah, like Lou Piniella wanted to break that record back then, and like basically killed his team doing it, and then they limped into the playoffs and got knocked out immediately. So I'm curious if Dave Roberts would actually be interested in pushing them to that degree, but I think they should, because that would make it easier for the Cardinals to potentially play them in the playoffs.
It would be fun to see a new single season best record, but
they would be the team to do it.
Yeah, although a few injuries recently might impact them. Gonsolin now on the IL.
Yeah, I think they're fine.
Yeah, they'll probably be fine.
Before we move on from the Brave series, I think Daniel made a great point. I just want to like specifically point out like the fact that they came back and won against Kinley, who was looking really bad that night and was not locating. And I think the ball or the pitch that killed the Braves that night was a fastball that was like 2.5 feet inside and almost hit Tyler O'Neill. But then they also came back against AJ Minter, who is having a crazy good year. So I like, I don't know. I like I don't know what the resolve, the stick to itiveness, the ability to come back late against a bullpen that's so good. That was exciting.
The grinder.
Yes.
Yeah, right. The pepper grinder thing.
Yeah. I gotta.
Yeah. I mean, I think there is, even as wild as Kenley was, and there were definitely some gift pitches in there. There have been times, even this season, that I feel like the Cardinals still would have struck out the side against that mess, you know. And so, seeing some really good plate approaches, and keeping that approach all the way through the end of the game, paid off for him. And same against Minter, who was pitching a lot better.
Spencer Strider is somebody who I think I will watch as often as I can. I think he's amazing. It feels like he's going to explode at some point, though.
Oh, like his arm, he's going to throw a pitch and his arm is going to end up in the catcher's mitt too.
Or just spontaneously combust on the mound. Like, it doesn't seem what he's doing should be physically possible.
He has like the highest K per 9 right now in the league, right? Of qualified starters.
Yeah.
And he's got a great stash. So
I like that Brad Thompson always brings up that he can hack squat 550. Look at those thighs.
He's got a wagon. It's true.
He does.
Where do we go from there? Yeah, he looks good. Stupid Braves and their ability to just churn out like good pitchers.
I think a great, this is going to be a really smooth segue. Going to that final game of that series with Adam Wainwright pregame routine on ESPN. Did you guys both watch or listen or catch up on that?
Yes. Yeah, it was awesome. Did you get a chance to watch it, Daniel?
I watched at least some of it later on in the clip. I don't know if I watched the whole 13 or 14 minutes or whatever it was, but definitely saw the highlights. And that was excellent. I mean, of course, it's Adam Wainwright, and we know that. Put Adam Wainwright in front of a microphone or put a microphone in his ear or whatever the case may be, he's going to, turn on the A game as well. But just to hear some of that stuff that he's, talking about, and just be able to see him go through that preparation and, that idea, which is amazingly well stated of, if you start, make sure your routine doesn't become superstition. That was pretty excellent.
Yeah, all the like mentality, like and the thought process training and stuff that he was going through, I thought that was fascinating. I feel like you rarely hear baseball players speak like that. It's all about one day at a time, and I was better than him today, and that's just the way it worked out. Hearing him like walk through exactly what you just said, and the idea of your mind controls what your body does, and there's just some really interesting little tidbits. And I don't know, Waino's, he's smart and interesting.
Yeah.
He's the most interesting man in the world type guy.
Well, I think he, this isn't a unique thought. It's pretty clear he's going to end up in a broadcast booth whenever his career ends in 10 years or whatever, when he's done finally pitching. I hope it's something for the Cardinals, because he is. It's a really unique blend of being like not just really, really smart, but also just really like affable and able to explain it in a way that people will enjoy. And then he goes out there and he's really, really good. He made the point that like he needs to have a really good first inning so people don't think that this warm up microphone thing was like bad for the game. So he felt like an extra bit of pressure to be good. And then he was, that whole game, Cardinal fans, the Cardinals are in a lot of Sunday night games compared to a lot of teams, but I know a lot of times it feels like the broadcast or whatever just mostly focuses on the other teams, playing a lot of Dodgers, playing a lot of Yankees or Red Sox or whatever. That Sunday night game, though, we are never allowed to complain about broadcasts covering the Cardinals again, because that entire broadcast was basically look how awesome Adam Wainwright is. Let's get Benji Molina in the broadcast booth for a full inning. Let's play a minute and a half of Waino's demo tape.
Oh, I didn't know that happened.
You missed it? Oh, they
Mary and I went to a bar and got some tater tots, and they weren't piping the sound in, so we were just watching the game, listening to classic rock.
Well, I got to hear a little bit more about these tater tots. So you went to the bar specifically for tater tots?
I'm not kidding. They're the best tater tots in Denver, easily. The world, maybe. But they're house made.
I had tater tots tonight. They were frozen though. Yeah. We made them partly for the kids, but also, I mean, I ate like a lot of tater tots.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're so good. You get your dipping sauces. You're having a great time. I had a nice ice cold Budweiser, which was great. It was, it was great.
What kind of sauce you dipping your tots in?
Oh, we got honey mustard. We got normal mustard. We got catsup. We got, I think there was some barbecue and some hot as well. We were going crazy.
Yeah. Nice. Daniel, are you a tots guy?
I can't say that I am, but I'm always interested to hear people, with their passions, talking about them. So
I think I'm more of a fry guy if given the choice, if they're next to each other, but I love a good tot.
Top tier tot can't be beat, I think.
Yeah. How do you feel about a baiter tot?
About
a baiter tot? Remember that guy?
No.
Me neither.
So I see that he might actually, start rehab games, I think, in the next week or so.
I think as Cardinal fans, we better hope he gets in the game, or else the Cardinals have to give someone else up also in the trade. So
yeah, but it's probably
it's probably
somebody that they're probably going to have to take off the 40-man for the Rule 5 anyway. So
that is something for us to talk about at a later point for sure. We're trying to stock up off-season topics. So, but the Rule 5 thing this off-season could be potentially interesting, but that's for a later date to talk about. But it's probably I think, but still, you never know.
I mean, it's still, it does. It is one other thing that they don't have necessarily. They have to give up for.
Yeah. But Ben, they played the entire, I guess it was the whole song that Waino wrote. It's like a demo, it's him and guitar and singing. And I really thought they were just going to do like a verse or so, and they just let it go. And it was a minute and a half long, and he's pitching. And I was like, this has never happened before in baseball. There's no way anyone has ever had one of their little songs played over top while he's pitching.
Bronson Arroyo, maybe.
Oh,
yeah. I was going to say there are other. There have been other musicians. But
I've definitely watched a broadcast where they played some of Joe West music, but obviously like umpire different than a active pitcher.
Yeah.
I think
it could have happened.
I think that you're right. I think they were going to like cut it off, and then, but Wainwright, like there was enough foul balls and stuff like that the inning kept going, so they just
let it
run. Yeah.
Can I ask your review? Yeah, I'd love to hear your breakdown.
I mean, I'm not like a big soft country fan, but I guess to be able to do that and also be a borderline Hall of Fame pitcher, like the broadcast said it. They're like, he's just one of those guys that's good at everything, you know. And as a music lover, and I love to see someone being able to like. I feel like there's that's super uncommon in like high end athletes to like also be like writing soft music, because it was about like playing ball with my boy and like I was
saying like pitching and hitching a trailer or something like that.
Yeah, it's like he's like, these are the things that I like to do. It's like really, but it was nice. I don't know. I mean, it's there's so many layers to unpack there about what I was actually listening to in that moment, but it was fine. He's doing like a 14-track record this off season though, which hey, I mean, with enough production and like team behind it. Fucking, he's gonna end up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too, or something stupid. I don't know, Daniel. What do you think of the track? We might have different tastes.
No, I mean, I'm not a country person either. I'm not much of a music person in general, but it was fine. It was nice enough. It was that wholesome, down home South type of thing. And we'll be interested to see what the rest of the album is. It's probably one of those things that, you buy because it's Adam Wainwright, then you don't ever actually listen to it.
I'll tell you, I would absolutely go see him live if he was like playing Ballpark Village or something like that. I would be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's taking it seriously, apparently. I mean, they played it on the freaking broadcast. Like, he's doing a record, so it wouldn't surprise me if he does shows. He can open for Bruce Willis's band.
Well, and
that seems fitting.
I mean, what Wainwright's, he's pretty clear about what he wants to do is all his charity work and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And if it's, I'm going to do a concert or two and all the money is going to go to Big League Impact or whatever the case may be, I definitely see him doing stuff like that.
That is absolutely I think you're right on.
Yeah. And good for him. Again, I think it's great. I don't mean to even imply that I'm making fun of him, but it is the whole package. It's just very funny to me.
Yeah.
That, and the broadcast was bizarre that it just went for so long. But hey, the Cardinals jerseys were awesome. That was, I think it seemed to me that the Cardinals they chose that game because of the Sunday night broadcast. I have to assume. And it got a ton of press and a ton of like time in the broadcast, and I thought that was really awesome. It's a really growing part of the Cardinals fan base that I think has been pretty underrepresented in like the broader broadcasting. So it's cool to see Benji having a great time.
Yeah, that was cool.
And I know other teams have done the Spanish jerseys, but it was really cool. So moving on a little bit more specifically into, we're going to stick with what's going well right now. You can't go very far right now in any Cardinal media related direction without running into some love for Lars Nootbars. And, we're going to do the same. What a perfect combo of being good and also having an awesome name. Whenever Nootbars first came up, I really felt like, what this is like 80% of the reason he's even here is because of his name. And turns out it's only like 40% of the reason he's here is because of his name. He's been outside of Goldie and Arenado and maybe now O'Neill, knock on wood. He's been the best player on the team. He's been the most consistent, at least.
Yeah. Sorry, you go, Shoptaw.
No, go ahead, babe.
I just wanted to cherry pick one stat that I was very excited about. Over the last 2 months, Lars Nootbars has 29 walks and 27 strikeouts. He is still a rookie. I find that just to be astounding. Not to mention there's a little power that's kind of coming along with that. But again, anyone who is outpacing their walks over strikeouts in modern baseball, especially at that young, is just super duper impressive.
Yeah, and the energy that he's brought obviously has been a huge factor as well. I mean, that Nolan and Goldie and others have talked about it. That there was the interview with Lars that he said his superpower was getting Paul Goldschmidt to giggle. It's obviously something different in there, and that kind of thing can be really annoying to some teams, depending on how it's done. And obviously, he's done well enough that he's become, kind of a crucial part of this team. And shifting him into leadoff spot, like Ben was saying, when he's drawing walks and things of that nature, has seemed to help the offense click a little bit too, because that's leadoff has been a spot where they haven't just been great this year.
Yeah, absolutely. The dynamic thing is interesting. I think that was obviously a big part of what Bader was doing outside of his, good play, but every team needs someone like that. At least, it seems that way. And the that's been part of what's so fun about this team this year is that balance of you've got the like stoic MVP in Paul Goldschmidt. You've got the like frenetic insanity of Nolan Arenado. And then, but he's still very serious. You know, he just like can't sit still for anything. And then you've got Pujols just fucking living his bachelor life now, hitting dingers and having a great time. And then some of these younger guys like Nootbars, you know, bringing that balance and bringing that energy. It's been a lot of fun. I know he didn't create it, but they were saying in the broadcast the other day that Nootbars is really the one who has really brought the pepper grinder thing.
Yeah.
Like he's really been the one spearheading it.
I remember this was maybe a week and a half ago or something like that. Jimmy the Cat was he was just doing like an in-game like update or whatever, and he was kind of talking about the idea. I just broke my watch. He was talking about.
Wait.
I was
why would
fiddling with it.
talk about his watch? I don't know.
Dang
You
it!
just what broke?
The finger clasp thingy. I don't know. What do you call it? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Damn it. I've had this watch forever. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. Jimmy the Cat was talking about how Lars is the type of guy that can make fun of Nolan in pregame warmups, and everyone's like waits for a second, and then Nolan laughs, and then everybody else laughs. And I think that I just thought that was like, the fact that he thought that was a report worthy made me think, wow, Nolan must be a psycho during pregame warm-ups. He just takes it that seriously. And then also, you know, equal part that Lars must be just the most fun guy. And I do believe, like, if you're going to win, I know it gets into that narrative-y stuff that we try to avoid generally, but if you're going to win, you're going to need what you're talking about, that balance of the unbelievable competitiveness of Yachty and Nolan and the fun of Newt and I don't know who else is fun. Tyler's kind of fun. He's fun in a weird way.
Well, he's just
yeah,
out there
I just
for
love
the
it.
boys, you know.
Yes, he is.
He's just trying to make Mr. Canada proud out there for the boys. Did you all happen to check out the article in Fangraphs about Nootbars?
Heck yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it. I read through it, most of it.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. You know, the plate approach was something that, you know, he kind of has always had and translated really well to the minors. That's what you were talking about, Ben, the walk rate. And then, but it is the power that's been really surprising. And he's at 9 home runs now, over like 180 at bats or something, you know, a pace of 20 plus if you play a full season. Which obviously looks great if your OBP is over 400.
And shout out Ben Clemens, who is a St. Louisan and I think a great writer for Fangraphs. So good job, Ben. Another Ben out there doing great work.
There's not a lot of them.
But what I thought was, or I guess something that I kind of like tacked onto in his article was the idea of like the Cardinals player development. Just, oh yeah, this is a kind of guy who's got kind of good approach. We like his attitude, 8th rounder. We don't know where he's going to play defensively. And then you look up 3-4 years after he's drafted, and now he's like driving one of the best offenses in the National League to a Central Division victory. And just the ability for, I don't know if it's the scouting, if it's the development, if it's the minor league coaching, if it is all of those things kind of working together. But he's, you know, I don't want to put the Matt Carpenter hat on Lars already, but he is just another one of those guys, Tommy Edman, Brendan Donovan, that this team has been full of for, I don't know, a decade plus. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he did the driveline stuff and everything. Especially this last off season, right?
Yeah,
it was really kind of, you know, because you're right. When he was drafted, it was a lot of his name. I mean, that's why everybody latched onto it, at least did. But he's obviously developed into more of that. I do wonder. I mean, I just wonder what the shelf life is for him, because there do seem, you know, we see these players that come up and they're great, like their first year, maybe a 2, and then it's kind of tapers off. But I think he's made enough changes and stuff. I think he's got a real chance to be a solid player for 5 or 6 years. You know, we'll wait and see. But I think that I don't think there's anything that just screams like fluke or anything about what he's doing.
I think that's part of the point of that article too, right? Is that he's a different player than he was even last year. They said he increased his bat speed by 8 miles per hour, and bat speed isn't everything, as is very well pointed out in the article, but it certainly can help a lot, especially when paired with the really good plate approach. Basically, he is really good at only swinging at balls inside the zone, and since he's really good at that, and his bat speed is higher, he's making good hard contact when he hits the ball. And, it's not hard for any player to sort of fall apart, but I think the approach is something that is usually more sustainable than some other guys like tickets to success. So we'll see. I definitely think like the Cardinals maybe caught on to his changes a little bit faster than maybe even or than we did as fans. Makes the Bader trade make even more sense when you start to think like, well, Nootbars is playing every day. So it's fun. I hope it sticks. It certainly seems like it will. Of course, he will struggle. Even his last 4 games, he's like 3 for 17 or something like that. So he's in a little bit of a mini slump right now, but that's going to happen for anybody except for Paul Goldschmidt. But
who actually has had a little bit of one of those in Cincinnati too. So
he was striking out a lot. Yeah. So it's going to happen. But I think he's like top 5 in OBP over the last like 3 months or something. It's really, really incredible. And that is really all the Cardinals need with Goldschmidt and Arenado. You just need guys to get on around him. And
Donovan and him getting on base all the time. Just, there's not Lars has gotten a little bit of power. Donovan's got none, but all you need is people on the bags when those two guys are up and you're set up.
Yeah.
Donovan.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, I think it's telling about how balanced this team is that now I've mentioned this on one of my other shows is, they're going to have the MVP and Nolan's going to be right up there too. You're going to have Michaelis and Wainwright probably getting some Cy Young votes on the fringes. And then you've got people like Nootbaar and Donovan that are going to be getting Rookie of the Year votes. And then Ollie Marmol's probably going to get Manager of the Year votes. I mean, the Cardinals they'll win MVP, but they may not win any of these others, but they're going to have a presence in all these awards. And that's not something you can say very often.
Yeah. And probably at least 2 or 3 Gold Gloves again. You probably you're certainly locking in Arenado. It actually kind of gets pretty thin after that with the
playing
injuries.
time has been an issue, but that's what Arenado, Goldie, and then Edman was.
If they do there's been that like lobby for a all-star utility man role. I think there should be a similar argument for utility player for Gold Glove, because you'll end up with those years where like a guy is clearly an elite defender wins Gold Glove at like second base, even though he only played like 40 games there.
Yeah. Do you think that award would be like 3 gloves? Like you got your corner infield glove, your middle infield glove, and an outfield glove. You get like like a little what's the Pokemon, the Doug Trio, like a little
it's like a Doug Trio of gloves. Yeah,
it's a nesting doll. You just take one off the top.
Much more relatable.
No, Daniel, it's a Pokemon.
I'm just trying to reach the old person demographic here.
How about a Cerberus? It's like a Cerberus Gold Glove.
That's too scary. I don't like that.
Defending the gates of Hades. I'm sorry, that is pretty scary.
God.
Baseball is scary enough. I don't need a demon dog with 3 gloves for heads.
I mean, we know what you feel about Ghost Runners, so.
God. Please. It's almost September, the second spookiest month. Right before October. Pre-spooky. All right. Where are we going from here? I keep getting a little distracted. I think all 3 of us also have the at least some way of keeping tabs on the game that's happening right now. And we're it's the bottom of the 9th. So
Yeah, they timestamp this episode. Yeah, I'll drive for a second, Nate, if you'd hand over the keys.
Sure,
Control freak
please.
monster. We're talking about one of the outfielders. I think it's time to start talking about Tyler O'Neill because he has been hot. I have written here he's back. And I'm calling it. I think Tyler's going to scream to the finish line. I think old Tyler is back. He's getting behind the ball. And the home runs are coming in bunches right now. He's got 4 home runs already this week. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a couple of more against these terrible pitchers that he's playing against. When Tyler is, I believe that when Tyler is healthy and right, he is maybe not a top 10, but a top 20 player in the league. And when you pair him up with the seasons that Arenado and Goldschmidt, even if it's only going to be a month in the playoffs, that changes the team in a way that I don't even know how to think about it because I'm just going to be so excited if it kind of sticks around. And this offense is going to go from what, like the second, fourth ish best in the league to 1 or 2 easily, right?
Yeah. Well, he might be the best power hitter on the team, and that's over Arenado and Goldschmidt. It's incredible. And he's actually been pretty much, other than his first 2 months, he has been really good. He had the first injury, came back and was good, and then had the second injury and came back and has been even better, looking just like he was in the second half of last year. So it's incredibly exciting, and there is just something fun about him and the way he plays. And I don't know, he is, maybe my favorite player. It's really hard to pick with this team right now.
Yeah.
Kind of everyone is my favorite player, but I'm such a fan of his. And yeah, it changes the dynamic of the team entirely when you basically have to go through 3 30 home run plus guys in a row. And then, of course, adding in Nootbars and Donovan probably being on base between the two of them. It's a lot of fun. And he brings that speed element that like an Arenado and a Goldie don't really have too. So he can get on base, go first to third really well, steal a base. A lot of people going into this season were predicting that, a 40-20 season for O'Neill wasn't that crazy to think of. Obviously, we're nowhere near that, but that's the type of talent that he has.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you can, when he's on and at least being a credible threat, that changes a lot of things. I mean, it definitely deepens the lineup. And yeah, it does feel like he's kind of starting to get those, legs underneath him. He's definitely becoming more of a threat, and we'll see how that translates in the off season or the postseason, and hopefully it continues. But you definitely like him rolling through some of these weaker pitchers and getting his confidence and stroke before you go into October.
Yeah, he's the only guy in the outfield too that I think is, Nootbars is getting there obviously because of his play, but like with the fluctuations in the outfield and Marmal's increasing willingness to play matchups, he's the only one that's out there every night, and I think rightfully so. I think he has, outside of Arenado and Goldschmidt, he's got to have the longest leash of any player on the team because of his performance last year and his ability to change a game, with one swing.
Yeah. So funny because at the beginning of this year, I would have said, assuming health, O'Neill, Bader, Carlson get 140 plus starts in their respective positions this year. And it is that has just not happened. Obviously, some of it's health, some of it's trading, some of it's Dylan center field play, some of it's Corey Dickerson, some of it's Lars Nootbars. Just did not think this season or the outfield was going to play out like it has. Well, kind of wild.
It was, I mean, how many years in the making was it to get to, all right, we've got our outfield. It's O'Neill, Bader, Carlson. Cardinal fans, rejoice. This is your outfield for the next 5 years. You're looking at the youngest, best defensive outfield in baseball. And also, hey, all of them are going to hit 25 home runs, right? And we got half a season of that. last year, basically. And it was tight. We had a 17-game winning streak, and we came into this year, like you were saying, Ben, like, this is it. We don't have to worry about it outfield. Randy Arozarena, who? We don't need him. Adolis Garcia, what? We don't need him. We've got our outfield. And
do another one.
Corey Dickerson, yes. All right.
Okay.
Tommy Pham.
There we go.
Win. Boston Red Sox. And yeah, now it's only it was like a month into the season, and that was all done. And yeah, I mean, the Bader injury is a big one, and everything sort of spiraled down from there because now you Carlson slides into center, but I mean, a lot of this too, I think if you didn't have Nootbars and Dickerson playing the way they are, it is still Carlson in center,
right?
O'Neill in left, and then right is probably just Nootbars or maybe Nootbars and Dickerson, but
Alec Burleson might be up.
Yeah,
Wanya Pez, lots of names. To kind of move us on, you're kind of hinting at it. I want to talk about Dylan really quick. How are you feeling? I'm checking in with both of you, fine gentlemen, right now. He has a 617 OPS over the last month. Ali has publicly said that he doesn't like his at-bats against lefties. Righties. I apologize. Daniel, I'm going to pass it to you. How are you feeling about Dylan Carlson right now?
I mean, it's definitely a step back. It's a possibility that the rest of the year might be kind of a wash. But I think in long term, you're still pretty high on him. I mean, we've seen what he can do. We're going to just have to see if he can make the adjustments that he needs to make, and I don't see any reason why he can't. And as Marmal said, even if he was hitting better with Dickerson and Nootbars or O'Neill, it becomes difficult to get him out there to try to see the live pitching that he probably needs to, and it gets to be a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy to some degree. So I don't know that I'm a little bit. If for this year, there's some concern, but long term, I don't think I'm there yet.
Yeah. I don't know. You're telling me this is the guy they wouldn't trade straight up for Juan Soto?
Yeah, he's a victim of his own poor play and also the extreme turnaround that Corey Dickerson has had and the breakout of Lars Nootbars. Who knows how these things would be different if he had been playing every day in center or right field during all of these struggles. He's shown the ability to make adjustments in the past, and he's obviously struggling, and that's compounded when your team is in the race and can't really afford to let you work it out. So, yeah, I'm not as worried about it, not long term, but yeah, I certainly seems like for the rest of this season, as long as Dickerson and or Nootbars are playing well, like why would you start him? That's part of the whole reason that they have Marmal now is the willingness to play these matchups.
Yeah, and I guess I was I don't think I'm not hitting the panic button or anything, but I guess you're kind of talking about the leash that is allowed for Tyler O'Neill to figure things out. I kind of just assumed that Dylan had a similar thing. He's our guy. He's our center fielder. Let's figure this out. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's probably it. Maybe he'll start against, here and there pitchers and the matchups that Ali and the team likes. But yeah, I guess I was more just surprised that they didn't let him work it out, especially with the rest of the offense kind of moving in the way that it has. But at the same time, like
it's just really hard to sit Nootbars or Dickerson right now.
It is. And what I'm learning is that when Dickerson's on, it is like the way that when he is hot, the way that he can just, he's almost like old Vladdy, where he's hitting super bad balls all over the strike zone, not even in the strike zone.
Baby. Yeah. 10 for 10. What the hell was that? Yeah. Cardinal record in the last couple of weeks. 10 for 10. Insane.
Yes.
I'm yelling about it.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah. I'm mad. Are you excited? I can't tell.
Both.
Okay. Me too.
We're gonna see Corey Dickerson's name in like Cardinal history maybe forever. The league record is 12, and he's at 10.
Wow.
He may never get beaten.
Now I know that y'all have been big supporters of
Always.
Corey Dickerson all the way
Always.
through. I mean,
Day one.
ever since.
Ride or die.
But have you ever seen probably a more convenient and more helpful injury than what Corey Dickerson had? Because I mean, for me, it just felt like he was, there was a time where O'Neill was coming back, or Carlson was coming back. There wasn't going to be room.
Yeah.
And then he gets hurt, and then he comes back. There's playing time, and then all of a sudden he's setting Cardinal records.
Was it another impingement? Was he out with an impingement? Was he a part of the impingement?
I don't think he was impinged. It was a foot thing, wasn't it? Or ankle, or
I thought he specifically called out C70's Twitter account for being mean to him and not believing in him.
That might have been it.
He had to block out the haters, or I can't remember exactly the verbatim what he kept saying.
I mean, if I had a nickel for every time that happened.
Yeah.
So do you think are you fueling him? Are you how does that magic work? I don't fully understand it.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing, right? I mean we've got to do the tough love on some of these people.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've got to know your audience. Just like the managers. They have to know what buttons to push on these players. And I think we as fans have to know the same thing. Some of these guys, they need a lot of support, but some of these guys they want to prove us wrong. And we've got to give them something to prove wrong.
That's a great point. Wow,
so
what
everyone
a
attack Corey Dickerson.
Yeah. Not us though. Always loved him.
Always.
Extend him 20 years. I'm working on my statue. Well, we've got a lot more to talk about. We always have a lot more to talk about. But before we do, we're going to take a quick break and remind everyone that this show is supported on Patreon. If you enjoy the show, want to see it grow, want to support us, and join a fun little community, consider joining our Patreon at patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Patrons of any level get access to what we call the Bird Scored. It's a private Discord server where we're talking about birds and other baseball related things.
Only bird talk.
It's a lot of bird talk. Tweet.
The mods are aggressive.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all letting the Sesame Street Big Bird stuff go through, though. That's really cool.
It's still a bird. It's a big bird. It's very much a bird. And check that out. We love all of our existing patrons, and we hope to see some of you people in there. And
if you're a young person, grab your parents' credit card, sign up for it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also order us some pizzas.
Yeah,
and you might be a passive podcast listener. Get engaged, baby. Become a part of it. Get in the Discord and be a part of it. So you can also leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. That is helpful, and we enjoy it. It warms our cheesy black little hearts. And I don't know, it was like a pizza thing I was thinking of.
Of course,
but,
of course it's pizza. Yeah.
Ben, why don't you tell the people where they can find us online?
Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Talk About Birds. You can follow us on Instagram at Talking About Birds. Again, Twitter, Talk About Birds. Instagram, Talking About Birds.
Emphasis on about.
Couldn't be more simple. As always, if you have any thoughts, musings, questions, and we're turning as the season winds down. I encourage you. Nate needs your help emotionally.
It's true. It's true.
Generally. So we're not picking on Nate anymore. September
Physically.
is going to be God.
I can't reach all the things on my shelves if you're tall.
Send in your words of encouragement to talkaboutbirds@gmail.com.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Daniel, so if someone's listening to this show and they're like, I don't know why I'm still listening to this, but this guy, he gets it. Where can they find you, and how could they get into more C70 content?
That's a sad individual, but it's possible, I guess.
That's exactly the type of people that we look for, though. We're the saddest.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna find me at C70 on Twitter. I haven't written as much. In fact, it's been a while. I need to catch up. But I'm writing at C70 It's Bat, which is cardsconclave.com/C70. You can find me over there. You'll find me. I've got a Substack that I use occasionally. Cardinal70.substack.com. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You got the podcast, Meet Me at Musial, Gateway to Baseball Heaven. You can find those on any place if you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to this, you probably can find those shows there too. So check them out.
Yeah, check them out. And we've had one of your co-hosts, at least Tara, on recently.
Mm-hmm.
Great show.
Yeah, she's the one that brings up the quality. Both of my co-hosts, Tara and Alan Medlock, bring things up, and then I'm there to make sure that they stay grounded or something.
And that's why you're perfect for our show. We're Tara's too good for this show. All right. Let's get into the back half. So just some broader Cardinal news. I think we should start by talking about Jack Flaherty. For the 20th time this season, the amount of talking about someone to playing time ratio is like maybe only beaten by Alex Reyes, but here we are again. The season, there's 5 weeks left or so, and we have yet another Jack Flaherty watch. He has completed another rehab assignment tonight, by all accounts, effective, and really the last bar to pass before he returns to the rotation. Very likely taking Dakota Hudson's spot. There's talk of a 6-man rotation, but I think even at this point, it's probably Woodford and Flaherty rather than Hudson and Flaherty, but that's kind of a whole different topic. But anyway, how are you feeling about the potential of a likely, I think, Labor Day Jack Flaherty start?
I mean, he hit 100 on the gun tonight in Springfield.
What?
Now, yeah, that's what I was seeing, 100 or 101. Now, granted, I don't know what Springfield's gun's like and things of that nature.
It's just a guy who's like, that looked like 101.
Yeah, they did the old Bob Feller thing, and they rev up the motorcycle and see if it how fast it goes. But I think even that, I think that just says that Flaherty seems to be coming back focused and dedicated to do something. So I'm excited to see it. We'll see. I mean, again, I think a lot of us continue to believe that we'll see 2019 Jack Flaherty again. I don't know, that's awful hard to do, but if he can, I mean, like you said, the bar is be better than Dakota Hudson. He can do that. So, or at least be more entertaining while he's trying. So, I'm excited to see what he's got. And I mean, if nothing else, he's fairly fresh arm for the stretch run.
Yeah.
Ben, how are you feeling?
Well, here, I just want to kind of read off some other people's work really quick. Derek Gould tweeted.
Our favorite thing to do.
Derek Gould just tweeted a couple hours ago while the start was still going. Jack Flaherty has struck out 6 of the first 10 batters he's faced in his rehab start tonight. He's allowed 1 hit. That's it. The final line was 6 2/3 with 9 fanned. And apparently he's hitting triple digits, which I didn't think was something he was even capable of. And yeah, I think that speaks to everything that Daniel just said. And I also think it speaks to, hey, his mechanics are probably where they need to be. Hey, that shoulder's got to be healthy if he's throwing that hard. And yeah, I mean, does it make sense to bet the team's future on Jack Flaherty returning to his second half 2019 form where he was arguably the best pitcher in baseball for a couple of months? No. The Dakota Hudson bar is low. And I just want to look through my Cardinals rose-colored glasses, and I want to talk about, like, what if he does slot in front of Waino and Michaelis? What if he is that ace? What if he does come back healthy? I mean, the change that could make to this team and what that looks like in the playoffs is just next level. So I'm feeling, I'm starting to get all fizzy and excited right now. I'm feeling really good about it.
I'm trying not to get my heart broken again. But yeah, I mean, it's the one thing. This team is clicking. Everything seems great. It's like the one thing that the Cardinals don't have that most other teams that are really competing for a championship is a true ace. I mean, we all love Waino. Montgomery's looking great. Michaelis, he's been struggling a little bit, but like we all know we have starters who can pitch effective games. But there's just something confidence building about being able to go in and at least, one game you probably have the best pitcher on the mound, or at least your pitcher can stand up against the guy who's on the other side. And like, I think any series against the Mets, any series against the Dodgers, maybe
Phillies.
even the Phillies, maybe the Braves, like you're going to see, the arrow is going to point towards their starting pitcher like every time on almost every matchup until you get to like, longer series and you're seeing the threes and the fours against each other. And so a truly effective Flaherty totally changes that equation. And it's exciting, but we've also had like exactly this conversation so many times this year and really over the last since 2019, right? Like it's been the story with him. So that rehab start is incredibly exciting. And we are a optimistic Cardinal podcast, so I'm excited about his return, and I just really like Jack Flaherty as a person. He is I don't know, I like him. So
talk about like competitive maniacs.
Yeah, I think it's again it's a good balance to the team. So him and Arenado can just like headbutt each other after every game until one passes out or whatever people like that do. And, I think it's good for both of them. So we'll see. I think the other big story that, everyone's watching and has become, this is kind of like the streak was for me last year, where it's like, no way that this can keep going. No way they'll do this. It's Albert Pujols and his home run chase now. At one point, the concept of even getting close to A-Rod seemed out of bounds, and now he's 2 behind that and 6 behind 700. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I'll throw out there also, we need to just mention that he has now hit more home runs off of different pitchers than anyone in baseball ever, which is just amazing.
Yeah, I saw that there's only like 39 baseball players in the game's history have 450 home runs. And, he has 450 home runs off of individual pitchers.
I'm not going to remember this stat fully, but it's worth even partially bringing up. It was brought up on the broadcast or reporter, somebody anyways. The idea that he has homered off just over 4% of all pitchers who have ever pitched in baseball. That is
pretty
nuts.
Incredible. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's in this year, this little victory lap, it's putting him over like passing Stan Musial in total bases, now setting this record. This is that sort of stuff that you only get from being 42 years old and still being competitive. It's truly incredible. So I've got tickets now. I'm going with some friends and some friends of the show on the September 30th game, the Friday night game of the last series at home.
Oh, jealous.
I am very excited. I think I'm going to catch number 700. I can barely catch a ball that's thrown to me from like 20 feet away, but I think I can beat out, all of the people that are out there.
It's definitely has the feel of, or at least especially the last couple of weeks, it's had the feel of 1998 again.
Yeah.
The idea of watching to see what Albert does and almost expecting him to, like tonight, starting against the lefty in Cincinnati. It's almost like disappointing that he didn't get a home run.
Right.
To be able to live through that again, even if just a little bit of a different feel is something. And that's one of the reasons. I mean, again, obviously there's been benefits to Albert being on this team this year beyond just, feel good. But that was one of the things they were hoping for, right? When they got him, he was productive enough that this kind of moment, this kind of excitement is there, and he's delivered.
It's truly incredible how much this has worked out for the Cardinals. And it's really been his post All-Star break run that has changed the entire story about this signing. I was thinking about that 98 run earlier, Daniel. You'd think I could remember this part of it, but I was at Busch for home run either like 60 or 59. It was one of the last few. I bet if I really pulled up the schedule and like went through it, I could figure out what game I was at. But
60 was a Saturday afternoon and against the Reds, I think. So
yeah,
that helps you any.
What?
Of course, Daniel just knows
that's
that.
impressive.
You got to remember, I was 24 or so like that. That was the summer I was following it.
Yeah.
Significantly. I remember where I was watching most of those. So
that's awesome.
That's incredible. So this was at night, at least my memory of it was at night. So it might have been 59 or I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. The thing that like really I remember, which is different though, is every single swing you'd have like 43,000 or whatever flash bulbs going off.
Oh yeah.
And I remember vividly is just like the entire other side of the stadium is just a flash blur on every single swing because everyone wants to get a picture of that. And probably for the better we don't get that anymore because our phones are good enough to take. And what were those flashes doing anyway? You're in the nosebleeds. What but
just got a picture of somebody else's flash.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's these deep historic home run races are part of what's fun about baseball and very unique to the sport. It's such an individual accomplishment that is such a singular moment too. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff going on with the Cardinals. I think we could keep talking about a lot of different things, but we're getting a little long, so I think we should jump into our last segment here before we go into the games and whatnot. There's been a number of interesting stories around the league this week. Ben, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, why are you smiling, Nate?
There's just a couple in here that are really making me laugh. So
okay, I'm gonna try to drive through these quickly because we are we still got a game to play. All right, so this one I have this number one with a bullet more because I found it funny than anything that the Red Sox upper management decided that they needed to come out this week and say they do plan on retaining Chaim Bloom and Alex Cora, who are, by the way, under contract for next year. I think more than anything, that just illustrates how that year is gone. And if you read between the lines in some of these articles that are coming out, it seems like Alex Cora doesn't like Chaim Bloom, and maybe the inverse is true as well. Alex Cora kind of throwing shade, saying, "I play to win every single game. I'm not sure if the front office agrees with that philosophy." So I don't know. Trouble in paradise. I really think when Chaim Bloom coming in and trading Mookie Betts was the dumbest thing they could have done. It didn't make sense at the time. Still doesn't make sense. They got a terrible package back for it. Boo.
Yeah. Never a good, things are not going well when the team feels the need to say we're not firing our manager and general manager.
Yeah.
But good. If you told them at the beginning of the year they were going to finish behind the Baltimore Orioles, then people were probably expecting something to happen.
Well, and the quick trigger we've been seeing from some other teams too, right? With the Rangers and the Tigers. Maybe of all of them, the Red Sox should be firing these guys. Those other two were way more surprising.
They're committed to these two losers. All right, next thing. This actually just came hot off the presses. This came out today. MLB announced that the Padres and Giants are going to have a full series in Mexico City next year, which I guess I more want to hear y'all's opinion on What do you think of the games in London, the announced games in Mexico City? They've tried stuff in Japan. I know they started the season a couple of years ago in Japan. Do you guys think there is value to that? Do you like it? Is it fun?
I think as a fan, it's fun. I'm actually way more supportive of the games in Mexico City. I'd love to see games in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, these countries that are actual, full on baseball countries that have a huge baseball presence and have a major part of the league. London is fun, I guess, but like, I don't know exactly who that's for. I know there are a lot of baseball fans in England, but just the travel time seems kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess London is cool, and I'm glad they're doing games there, but I'm surprised that was like before, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, things like that. It could be just a facilities thing, but either the MLB has more money than anyone would ever need. Like we could support these countries where a lot of the players are coming from, and I would rather see that than London, but London's cool too. And as long as the players, I guess we'll see, like it's a lot of travel for a couple games right in the middle of the season. I think they get buffer off days around, but still that's a lot. But overall, I mean, it's a global game. Best players in the world generally come to the United States to play. And I think it's good to get it out there in front of other people.
Yeah, the Cardinals played in Monterey, 19? So it's not. I mean, it's Mexico's had a couple here and there. It is a little bit surprising. It's not nor regular. I think Mexico City's it's got elevation issues, much like Ben does, right? Even more so.
Ben specifically has.
Ben specifically, not just Denver, just Ben.
I think Mexico City's over a mile high. Yeah, I think that is true.
Yeah.
It made sense to me when they were doing the games, like the first 2 regular season games were in Japan, and then it's like 3 or 4 days later, the rest of the regular season starts. So like the guys could have a little bit more normal travel during the regular season.
Right.
I'm not too worried about this, but like that is the part that sticks out to me is this like really extended travel. But outside of that, whatever, get the game out there. If people want to see it, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's kind of goes along with the idea of Field of Dreams game and other stuff like that.
Yeah,
seeing it in a little bit different environment, seeing it a little bit differently. I think it's good. I mean, again, you don't want to do it all the time, but there's definitely some benefit to it.
I think I'm genuinely in agreement. Although Field of Dreams kind of fell flat this year. I guess we'll see what happens.
Well, don't have two of the worst teams in baseball play each other.
No, that was so weird.
They had, at least last year's was like a competitive rivalry.
Yeah,
like the Cubs Reds. Like
the Reds are hard to watch when the Cardinals are playing them.
Yeah, we knew going into the season that at least the Reds were going to be bad.
Yeah.
Cubs we thought might have a competitive team, and turns out no.
Yeah.
Well, that's a game that's only going to not only, but it's the first time it's going to be amazing no matter who's there.
Yeah.
After that, it's going to lose its luster, even if it are good teams.
Yeah. All right. Moving down the line, Aaron Judge home run update. He is at 51 with what do we got? About 5 weeks to remain. I'm starting to get locked in. We talked about this a while ago when he was kind of projecting to do this. I kind of hold the opinion that if he breaks 62, I'm going to be very excited about it. Shoptaw, I don't think we've talked to you about that. What is your level of excitement around the Aaron Judge home run chase? Are you feeling 1998-ish or no?
Not as much because it's not, I'm focused in on the Cardinals. If it was happening with them, I'm sure I would be more so. But yeah, I think there's should be definite buzz because I don't know that for the last few years, I didn't know that anybody would get to 50 home runs again, much less try to, really get in the 60s. But, I think somebody made a point on Twitter today. It's like the ball is so different here and there. It's hard to, any home run season, you're going to be able to, put in, well, this happened or that happened or, expansion or whatever the case may be. So I think you got to celebrate it and enjoy it for what it is and not too worried too much about, is it the best season of all time or anything?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really care about adding or subtracting asterisks to it. I think it'd be a significant accomplishment for him to break Maris's record. But you won't see me saying like, well, he's the true single season home run record holder or anything like that. I really, I'm not really interested in having that debate. But I think it's incredible. And I do hope he does it just because it's fun. And, you know, it's also an incredible story of a dude betting on himself from a contract standpoint. And just like, I mean, ultimate, like, you know, he turns down one of the biggest contract offers of all time and then goes and does this. It's pretty incredible.
I think that contract's going to start with a 3 now, and I would not have said that a few months ago.
Yeah, he
Pretty
did it.
incredible.
I mean, he's doing exactly what he said he would do.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair,
right.
he said he would do this every year for like 6 years straight, you know, and but still.
All right. I don't think there's a good way to order these next 2 stories I've written down, so I'm just going to buzz through them, and I apologize to people with taste. 2 stories in 2 weeks around couples performing sex acts at MLB games. The first one was in Oakland, way up in the 500 level. And just 2 days ago, there was one in Toronto that was going around the internet. And my question is, what the hell is going on with people?
Listen, you know what? We give Rob Manfred a lot of shit, right? we think he's not connected with the younger generation, but I think he's figured it out. We want more millennials. We want more Gen Z in the ballpark. This is some guerrilla marketing for baseball. I gotta give credit where credit's due. Rob Manfred, he's getting the millennials in the ballpark.
I've thought, you know, from all intents, I've thought everything I've heard is that scoring was down around the league, but apparently not. Apparently it's on the upswing.
Oh, from the top rope.
All right.
Let's move on. That was too good. All right, now to totally change the mood, Tony La Russa, he has been having a god-awful season with the White Sox. They are underperforming. He is not managing the team anymore. They're not really talking about what's happening other than health issues. I don't even know if it's worth just kind of pontificating on this fact, but I think it's newsworthy. We've been kind of picking on TLR all year for, I think, well-deserved reasons, but kind of a wild way for this to seemingly end. I think we all hope he's okay, but just a strange end to this weird White Sox chapter, potentially. I mean, he could come back. We really don't know.
I think he's done, and I think it's equal parts likely that this is real and that he has an actual health issue, and that I hope he's, I wish him well and he recovers and, and all that. And then there's equal parts that this is just a organization trying to let a current Hall of Famer exit the scene with some degree of, dignity that they can sort of wave off and say it was health issues. Cause I think he's done, that a team that is struggling can only have so many manager related articles before they start to, try to move on from them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. I honestly, I feel pretty confident that it is something.
Yeah. I think that
it may explain some of the stuff that we've seen this year, right? I mean, some of the, seeming to lose track of counts or walking people when there weren't a reason to be walking people. It seems like it's not just it's hard to know. Again, we're just hearing, health scare or health issues or whatever, but, the players didn't know about it. It kind of came out of nowhere. It seems like maybe it's not like a cancer situation, and it's definitely not the shingles again. But
throwback.
I think that there's probably a decent reason for concern there, because it is so weird to see this happen. And you may be right. Maybe it is just we're going to push him off into the corner and not have to deal with him. But their season, I guess, still has some hope. But I don't know if that's, given what Reinsdorf and the relationship that he's had with Tony La Russa, I don't know that he would necessarily sign off on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I hope it's the latter, because it just means he's healthy and can
Mhm.
move on.
Right.
But yeah, I said it was likely equal chances. You're probably right that unfortunately it is more likely just to be what they're saying it is. I don't know how many teams try to pull off like subterfuge like that, but
The thing that's bizarre about this is that the article that I was reading was talking. He was on the field talking with Tim Anderson before the game. Tim Anderson, obviously in the IL right now. He was talking to some reporters, and then he was just gone.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. I think we all share the same sentiment, though. I hope he's okay.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, on that bummer note, we're done with this section of the
Sorry.
episode, and so now we're going to move to the end where we do a stupid game, and so we asked Daniel here to come on the show, to try to punch it up a little bit. We've really been struggling lately, and he responds saying like, do you basically, is it okay if I do the game, if I run the game on this episode? And I'm like, well, I can't turn that down.
Hell yeah.
Although I mean, part of this whole thing is that I don't have to actually, I just make Ben look stupid via the games, and people just assume that I maybe know what I'm talking about, or you don't ever even have to think about it because I just orchestrate them all the time. I'm a little puppet master,
Yeah, you sound really smart when you literally have all the answers.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a bird, you idiot. That's a guy. I sound smart when I play duck sounds. But I'm happy to hand over the puppet strings to Daniel here, and we don't know what he's planning at all. He said he has an idea for a game, and here we are. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm a good guest. I like to bring something to the table. Last time it was the table read of the social media. This time I thought maybe the people would like to see Ben Nate death match.
Ooh.
Unfortunately,
now I should say I'm going to cheat though. So
I don't think anybody expects anything different. Okay, so actually, this is a decent transition from Tony La Russa because I was looking this week at Ollie Marmol and his managerial record and where it fit into Cardinal history. And so now we're going to play a game called Somehow I Manage.
God.
Nate didn't have a chance to do the song, so just think of Somehow I Manage like 15 times in a row with some sort of weird
I manage.
yeah. So anyway, I have way too many. So I have 18 questions here. I'm not going to do them all.
Oh my
I'm
God.
going to give you the options. Whoever wins the question gets to pick the next one. Okay.
Okay.
Most of them are numbers. We'll do the Price is Right thing, highest without going over.
Okay.
But a couple of them have names. If I will give that option to whoever goes first, the second person can, say they're right, they're wrong, whatever the case may be. If we get to that. All right.
And to be clear, so essentially, if I get the question right, then I say I want to do question 6.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So, okay. Who wants to go first? Do we have a volunteer?
I will go first.
All right.
We'll let Ben go first. All right. Ben, you gonna pick your number question?
I will choose number. You said there's 18?
18.
I'm going to go with number 17 because that's a lucky number for me.
Number 17. All right. Now, this is all from Baseball Reference, their list of managers. It's all managers that are considered to have been the manager. It's not interim necessarily. It's not a guy that, like Ollie Marmol this year was out for a game and Skip Schumacher managed. It doesn't count Skip. It gives that win to Ollie. So, okay. So it's anybody that actually was technically the manager. So there are 65 different managers in Cardinal history. How many of them have managed more than 4 seasons?
4 seasons. 65. Okay. How many of them have managed more than 4 seasons? Okay. Well, I know Schilt is not on the list. I know Ali Marmol is not on the list. I know Mike Matheny and Tony La Russa are. So I got that.
Ben's going to work his way through 65
Yeah.
managers.
Trying
I
to
know Poppy Magoo from 1904.
that was
I don't know.
unbelievably stupid. I'm
That's a
going to
1904
say,
name.
shut up, Nate. I'm
Okay.
going to say, I'm going to lock in 7.
7.
7
Nate.
managers.
Ben, that is literally exactly what I was going to guess was 7.
Oh, I was going to say what you said. Oh.
So now there's been...
Dumbass.
It's been a...
I like this, me versus you.
Ow. Wait, yeah. I'm going to go with 8.
That's messed up.
All right. The answer is 12.
Oh.
12 managers
Put it on the
have
board.
come first. So Nate is on the board. Nate?
Glad I didn't guess 7.
Yeah. Terrible guess. Damn it.
All right, Nate. Your question.
Give me number 3.
Number 3. All right. Who has the highest, and this is a name, so this will have to do. Who has the highest winning percentage out of Cardinal managers?
Well, I think yeah, sorry, just sitting in silence. That's good. That's good radio.
Good broadcasting.
Best 30 seconds we've had the show.
Yeah. Everyone could rest easy for a moment. So it's hard. I'm trying to think if it's anybody other than.
Oh, you're trying to think?
Oh,
got him.
I can only think of so many Cardinal managers, and the Cardinals were bad through so many various decades. I'm trying to think who were the managers during the winningest time periods, and I feel like this is a trick question because I feel like Mike Matheny is probably actually really high on that list because of the teams that he inherited before he was a part of driving them into the ground of the late 2010s. But then I'm thinking there's Tony La Russa, who obviously managed for a long time and was a manager of the early 2000s. I'm going to say Mike Matheny.
All right. Ben.
Okay, so Ben has to. Is Ben?
Okay, so
do you want to? Do you think it's somebody? Do you think it's Matheny, or do you think it's someone different?
So I was actually thinking it was Matheny as well because I know he inherited.
I was going to say what he.
I know he inherited the 100-win team. They were good for a while with him. I don't even think he even had a losing season. Yeah, I'm going to lock in Matheny too. I think that is correct.
All right. Both of you going with Mike Matheny. Both of you completely wrong.
Yeah.
Mike Matheny is actually tied for 17th in winning percentages over the past. The winner of this is Charles Comiskey, who just went into the Cardinal Hall of Fame, has a 674 winning percentage.
Oh my God, that is huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's like the Dodgers now.
I guess we didn't ask, like, there was no time restriction on this either, right?
This is Cardinal history. This is from 1882 to...
How many years was Comiskey manager?
He managed 8 years from 1883 to 1891. So it's not even one of those, he managed 10 games and he has a 600 winning percentage. No, he was actually a legitimate one. So, all right.
I still think it was Poppy Magoo.
Since we held serve there, Nate, you can pick again.
All right. Give me question number 1.
That's the right answer. Or the right
number
question.
1. All right. Y'all are going to have fun with this one. We know, I think we all know, that Tony La Russa has the most wins, the winningest manager in Cardinal history. But how many wins did he actually have?
Who?
We just did the inverse of this in the
Yes, we
episode
did.
with Tara. Oh my god. 1,100 is my guess.
1,100. Ben?
1,100. That's a terrible guess made by an idiot. I think it was 14 years he was manager. Those first years were lean. I don't think he got that high. So I'm going to play the game and I'm going to say $1, Bob.
You're going with 1.
Well, we were doing wins, not dollars, so I think I win inherently.
Well,
here.
you win anyway because it's 1,408.
Yes.
Over 16 years.
It was 16 there. Okay, my math. Wow, that's still up more than I would have guessed. I thought those lean years were leaner.
No, he didn't have but a couple of years under 500, and he had 105 and 101 wins. 04 and 05. All right, Nate.
Let's do number 12.
Number 12. Oh, y'all are not getting this one. So,
oh, great.
Cool.
But it's just a fun one to have anyway. Ollie Marmol is the 65th manager of the Cardinals, dating back to 1882. Who was the first?
Poppy Magoo.
Yeah, I was about to say. No, Poppy Magoo was in 1904, as I already said. Dinglesock Sherrington. My guess is Dinglesock Sherrington.
Eddie Goodell.
It was Ned Cuthbert. If you ever need to know,
Ned.
That is
Cuthbert.
a good name.
Ned Cuthbert.
I feel like I was pretty close with Dinglesock, but
it was getting close. Getting close. All right. Nate, try again.
Just kidding.
Right. Man, we suck.
Well, I've got 2. Let's go with 18.
18. All right. Here we go. Y'all are okay. How many games did Mike Matheny lose as a Cardinal manager?
Okay. Give me a second. I'm going to say I'm going to say 420. 420, baby. I'm doing 420 losses.
Interesting guess. Classic stoner move. Huh. Wow. I again think you went over. It's a dangerous game to play. I'm going to go. I suck at this. I'm going to say $1 again.
Mike Matheny lost 474 games.
Damn.
All right. Final question, Nate.
Okay. 15.
15. Okay. Who are the only 2 managers in the top 10 of wins? So winningest managers in Cardinal history, top 10, sorted by wins. The only 2 who did not finish in first place while they were in Cardinal manager.
I'm just staring blankly at the screen right now. I have truly no idea, Daniel. Okay, so we're saying
so they're good. They're good men. They were successful managers.
They
in
were
fact,
winning.
they won games, but they never finished first in either the league or division or whatever they were at the time.
This is good trivia, but I'm thinking if they basically were probably managers before the 90s and all the expansions to be able to have like way more first place teams. So it was, they were like a good team, but they didn't win the National League or whatever. But I'm horrible at names. All these, so I truly, so I think number 1 is definitely Poppy Magoo.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Poppy Magoo? Was that what? Yeah, it was Poppy
Yes.
Magoo. And number 2 is Red Shandies.
Man.
All
Yeah,
right,
I'll also say Red Shandies and Joe Torre. I don't know. I got nothing.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Ben gets at least partial credit because Joe Torre is one of them.
Nice.
Let's go.
All right.
The other was Branch Rickey.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
So
A
we
name
should
I
have
actually
known
know.
these.
Yeah.
We should have. Yeah, it's 2 names that we knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah. You there were some others in here that were fun, but we've run long enough. So.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to have you on again and finish those questions out, and we can feel even dumber than I feel right now.
I mean, I got 3 of 5. So, no.
Yeah.
2 of 6.
It's a very different ratio.
You got
Did I
3
get
of
3?
6.
3
Yeah,
of 6.
got,
All right, I got 3 of 6.
you got all the
Speaking of
numbers.
dumb.
Yeah, you got all the numbers questions. So.
Well, I think you get one. You got a name there, Ben, and I couldn't even think of a single. So we'll give you a point on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to go lay
there you
down
go.
after this. That was bad.
Well, Daniel, the check's in the mail. Thank you. That was really nice. But all right, that'll wrap up this episode. Again, thank you all for listening. Daniel, thank you so much as always for being here. It's such a blast having you a part of the show. Everyone go check out his other things. They're definitely better than this. So you can only go uphill from here the deeper you get into the Daniel Shoptaw C70 universe, the C70 verse, the C7U. I don't know. We were talking a lot
the
about
expanded C70U.
Yeah, we were talking about Marvel before we started recording, so it's on top of mind. Yeah, check out all of Daniel's stuff, and we'll be back next week, assuming this game against the Reds actually ends and doesn't just persist for the rest of time. I think it seems like it might right now. And until we're back next week, go Cardinals.
Okay, thank you. Bye.